Morning, Bloemfontein. I'm Dirk Goetze from Architecture for a Change. And my talk will be mostly about informality, research and sustainability. So just quickly, how do we define ourselves? The ancient role of the master builder or architect was born from artisans such as stonemasons, carpenters, which were involved in the construction industry. So we aim to become master builders in order to become master designers. So the projects I will speak about today is mostly our informal projects, and then you ask why informal settlements? Well, they are still growing and we need to question their sustainable footprint as well, not just the formal environment. So our first project, which we called our bread building, was in the Zandspruit informal settlement. And in terms of sustainability, I will talk about the ownership of the building, recyclable materials, the comfortable environment, sustainable program and renewable energy. So the design. The design was mostly formed by project constraints and some regulations for health and safety. And initially the client wanted a container, but then that actually would have been more expensive because you still need to insulate your container, you still need to finish your container in order to comply with your regulations. So those are just some of the elevations. So one half of the building was built out of lightweight steel construction and the other half out of glass bottle walls, which I will explain. We also incorporated like a small pavilion overlooking an adjacent soccer field. So that was the easy part of this project. So then the build started in order to create sustainability. So for us, we always try to achieve ownership of our buildings through our construction and design process. So how we aim to do this in this project is the future occupants of the building collected glass bottles in the community and we paid them per bottle they collected. So in that way you also achieve a sense of job creation through the construction process. So it's basically timber jigs we made, which you place bottles in. And then we held a workshop teaching the future occupants of the building how to make the bottle bricks themselves. And this is also an opportunity for the funders as well of the building, not just the community, to get involved in the construction process. And there you also start to achieve some form of dialogue between the funders, the designers and the community. So this is just some of the process pics of the bottle bricks and the final product. Then recyclable materials, obviously the bottles will fall in that category, but we also reused packing pallets as shading devices on the western facade of the building. And then in order to create comfort, we try to achieve comfort on your building site, not just as a final product. So as you can see here, we erected the roof first, and then so that you can actually have some form of shading on your building site while constructing. Then our wall system, it was we used the 6mm Formica-like product, which is very durable and we got it at a good price. And then inside our cavities, we used a product called cavity bats. As you can see, the R value is very high. It's almost the same R value as you would have in your masonry walls. And then we cladded them inside with an OSB board. In terms of reusable energy for this project, we used a solar oven, which a bakery would use. Just use the sun energy. So that also creates a good business model because obviously your running costs are lower. And then we also use north-facing light, clear-story windows because you only had to. The building is only being used during the day, so you don't need electrical connection. And then in terms of program, we believe that an unused or vacant building is the most unsustainable because obviously it takes a lot of energy and if it's not being used, it's a big waste. So we worked with an organization and now through the intervention and entrepreneurship training of the occupants of the building, it now provides them with a salary within their context, which also means they don't have to travel far to generate an income. So the next project we call our transition unit, and usually conventionally you will first design, draw, then you'll build and then photograph a building, but we switched this process around for the sake of research in this project. So we started to design with the models, but we found that process had its limitations as you can't literally test whether a flapping wall or your thermal performance would actually work. So then we asked the question, can you design through construction? So we aim to test this. So first we built a flat bed for this unit and constructed the main structure that we knew of some constraints. And then through this process you start resolving details physically, like this type of detail where you can still disassemble your connection joints in order to transport your building, as well as we started exploring different wall systems. We use a scintillation layer, cavity, and then your interior layer. And through this process, we explored different ways of insulating the building on an economic manner as well. So we actually tried to recycle newspaper. And in terms of fire rating, it actually will smolder, it won't really burn with the flame. And we've got a fire rating on our scintillation layer. So this is just some of the process, when you start adding your cladding systems. And through this type of process of designing through construction, you can actually literally test, the different aesthetic versions of materials that you can't really always test on a render necessarily, as it's not always that accurate. So we also incorporated a solar lighting system, but so we charge the battery during construction, so you could actually use your solar lighting while you're still constructing the building or prefabricating. So we also explored some double skins on the design. So obviously if you've got your building on wheels, you can actually move the building around, and here we had to in order to construct the roof, we had to move the building to another space. So then the building got stuck with our first trolley, so we actually had to jack the building up, build a new trolley, and remove the building. So this is what we call taking a building for a walk. So you wheel the building out, take it to another space where we erected the roof. So with this type of process, which is also in a sense research-based, you can start testing your building. So we did drain tests, you can test your waterproofing details, your gutter detail connecting to your tank, as well as test the building in, not just inside a factory, but in real sunlight as well. So we placed the building on stilts. The most challenging part was moving the building panels through the informal settlement more than the actual erection of the structure. So we erected the structure within an afternoon, and the next morning we completed the double skin and the floating roof on the building. There's John having his lunch. So in terms of the final product, we wanted to achieve a design that's contemporary and innovative, but still suits its context. And yeah, I don't know, I hope we achieved that. I believe so. So these are just some of the final images. And if you've got a traveling building, you actually start getting different views outside of your window, which was quite interesting. And then eventually, people start taking ownership of your design, which is always a sense of achievement. Because here you can see as well, they used, well, when we got into site one day, they put on the sound radio onto the solar system. So, like I said, the drawings only came after the build of this unit. This is just comparing our values of a corrugated iron, which is like 0.3, container steel, which is 0.5, then your double masonry wall, which is around about 3.3, and then our composite wall, which achieved an R value of 3.8. This is just exploded axle indicating the different layers of the building, and showing the building in a broader, well, the bigger idea of such a unit. You collect rainwater, so that can lead to subsistence farming, as well as shading where your door flaps up. You've actually got shading outside of the structure, and exploring different options on how to transport such a unit. So you can actually fit 4 of these units back into a 6-meter container. This is just some of the sections showing how the double skin shades the structure during summer and exposed in the winter. So exploring the idea of transition housing. In 2001, there was around about 1,100 informal settlements in the country, and that number has actually risen to around about 2,700. And while RDP housing, it provides a house, but many people never qualify or they wait many years. So we envision this almost as being a solution within your direct environment, providing with a better direct solution. And then if you do, receive an RDP, you can actually move your transition unit there or leave it in the informal settlement. So the last project I'll talk about is our Mamelodi pod. That's also in Pretoria. So this is actually a wonderful site as it overlooks the soccer fields in the informal settlement. That's just some context drawing. So this time we actually did our drawings before we built the structure, as we have learned from the first experience. So we used the same wall system, but this time we incorporated a skylight for your day lighting, and a few changes, with these type of your sidewalls and protruding past the main structure. It actually becomes more efficient because your water detailing is much easier. So the lessons learned from construction, we actually this time constructed the panels flat on the floor, which proved to be much faster, efficient and easier. And we also arranged to get a flatbed truck, which also was much easier than using a trailer. So this time we had volunteers from Arsenal Football Club. And it's quite amazing, through the construction process and community involvement, like speaking about dialogue, you start achieving a situation where your volunteers, your community and your designers start working together on a common purpose, which is the erection of the building. So this is just some of the process pics of this unit. And then the final product, this time we used a much bigger water tank, because we found out it's like only 200 rand more expensive from a 60-litre water tank to a 1,000-litre water tank. And that's just, once again, the unit within its context, where we once again try to achieve architectural language, which still suits its context in terms of materiality, but it's still something contemporary. And then we also created our own furniture to suit our structure. We make beds. And then this is just again to get back to some contemporary detailing. We use the LED strip that's connected to our solar panel or to our solar system that then lights up a part of the structure at night. That's just the opening of the structure. So where to from here? We are currently busy designing our third prototype, which is a double-story unit with an internet cafe function at the bottom and a housing unit at the top. And that's it.